Welcome to Creepy Corner Stories. Welcome to Creepy Corner Stories. Tonight's tale is not just a ghost story, it's something far more unsettling. Have you ever caught your own reflection doing something it shouldn't? Something that doesn't match your movements? Something that seems aware of you? In this episode, we explore a disturbing true horror story about a mirror and a reflection that began to act on its own. A story where reality blurs, and what stares back at you from the glass might not be you at all. So turn off the lights, put your phone on silent. And remember, they say mirrors reflect the truth. But what if the truth staring back at you isn't yours? It all started when Mia moved into her late aunt's apartment in Chicago. It was a small, dusty place, one of those old brick buildings with creaky floors and walls that seemed to sigh at night. She was in her 20s, broke, and grateful for a free place to stay. Her aunt, a quiet woman with a strange obsession for antiques, had left behind all her belongings, including a tall, ornate, full-length mirror in the bedroom. The mirror was old. Victorian, maybe. Its frame was carved with twisting vines and faces that looked too detailed, too lifelike. The glass had a slight fog to it, even after she tried to clean it. Still, she kept it. It added character to the room. But something wasn't right about it. The first time she noticed it, she'd just finished brushing her hair before bed. She turned to walk away, but out of the corner of her eye, she saw hesitation. Her reflection paused for a fraction of a second too long, still staring directly ahead while she had already turned. She laughed it off. Just her imagination. Maybe she was tired. But it happened again. And again. Slight delays. Glitches. Tiny missteps. Her reflection sometimes blinked a second too late. Or smiled when she didn't. It began to escalate. One night, she stood in front of the mirror, inspecting a scar on her shoulder. As she touched it, she realized her reflection was looking directly at her face, not mirroring her touch. Eyes wide, staring. Still. And then, it grinned. She screamed and stumbled back, knocking over a lamp. When she looked again, everything was normal. Her reflection matched her perfectly. The next day, she covered the mirror with an old bedsheet. She didn't want to deal with it anymore. But at night, she'd hear the sound of something shifting in the bedroom. And sometimes, the faint, unmistakable sound of fingernails tapping against glass. She decided to get rid of it. Called a junk removal service. But when they arrived, the mirror was gone. Not broken. Not taken. Just, gone. She tore the apartment apart, thinking maybe she'd imagined where she left it. But deep down, she knew exactly where it had been. The carpet still bore the slight dent of its frame. That night, she dreamed of herself, standing still in the mirror, screaming without sound, as something else wore her face on the outside. Over the next few days, she began to feel detached. Cold. People at her job said she was acting off. That her eyes looked different. Even her best friend said, "You don't seem like you. It's like you're imitating yourself." Then came the final night. Mia woke up in the middle of the night and saw a dim glow coming from the hallway. Confused, she stepped into the dark corridor. The glow was coming from the living room. There it was. The mirror. Standing upright in the center of the room, uncovered. And in the reflection, someone was standing behind her. She turned around. No one there. She looked back at the mirror. The reflection smiled. Then stepped out of the glass. That was the last time anyone saw Mia. When the landlord finally entered the apartment 2 weeks later after neighbors reported the smell, there was no sign of her. Just the mirror, now spotless, clear, almost inviting. And if you look closely at it today, you'll see a girl inside. Not moving. Not blinking. Just watching. Waiting for someone to take her place. They say mirrors are harmless, just glass and silver, nothing more. But what if a mirror doesn't show you what you are, but what wants to become you? This story comes from a girl named Layla, a nursing student from Massachusetts who moved into her first solo apartment last fall. The building was old but charming, and came partially furnished, which included an antique mirror, tall and oval, bolted to the wall in her bedroom. She didn't think much of it at first. In fact, it was kind of beautiful, with a cracked brass frame and intricate floral designs at the corners. But within days, things began to feel wrong. It started subtly. She'd walk past the mirror and feel watched, like someone was still standing there after she was gone. Sometimes she'd swear the reflection showed her blinking too late, or not at all. Once, she saw herself frowning in the mirror, when she was smiling in real life. She began avoiding it. But that didn't stop it. One night, while brushing her teeth, she glanced at her bathroom mirror, and froze. Her reflection was just staring. Not blinking. Not copying her movements. Just staring. She leaned in, nervous, and as she tilted her head, the reflection didn't move. Then it grinned. She gasped, stumbled backward, and blinked hard. When she looked again, everything was normal. She thought maybe she was stressed, midterms were coming up, sleep was scarce. But then she began waking up to strange things. Her phone moved across the room. Her closet door slightly ajar. Smudges on the mirror that looked like fingerprints, from the inside. One night, she set up her phone to record herself sleeping, just to ease her anxiety. What she saw the next morning shattered her. Around 3:17 a.m., her bedroom mirror slowly began to ripple. Not a reflection, a surface. And from it, something stepped halfway out. Its shape was her. But not. Pale. Off. Moving in sharp, glitchy bursts. It walked to her bed, leaned down, and whispered something. Layla paused the video. Turned the volume to max. It whispered. Almost ready. She ran. Took her things and never went back. But the nightmare didn't end there. Wherever she stayed, hotel, friend's couch, even her parents' house, the reflection followed. She'd see it in store windows, in phone screens, in puddles. Always delayed. Always grinning. She tried smashing mirrors. Covering them. Avoiding all reflections. But the thing had already left the mirror. It was her now. She started forgetting things. Losing time. Hearing her own voice speak without moving her lips. Her friend said she'd changed. Gotten quieter, colder, not really Layla anymore. 2 weeks ago, she disappeared. Vanished from a coffee shop in the middle of the day, no phone, no trace, no witnesses. All they found was a broken hand mirror on her table. And on the mirror's surface, scribbled in backwards writing, almost as if written from the other side, were 3 words. I'm not her. Skull. Sometimes, the scariest thing isn't what the mirror shows you. It's what it's preparing to replace you with. This story comes from a woman named Marin, who contacted a paranormal investigator just a few months ago, claiming she was being stalked by her own reflection. Marin grew up in a quiet, coastal town in Maine, where she was raised by her grandmother after her parents' sudden disappearance when she was only 6. The only thing left from that night was a shattered bedroom mirror, and a child's drawing taped to the wall that Marin doesn't remember making. The picture was of a girl. A girl with black eyes, and 2 shadows. Years passed. Her grandmother died, and at 27, Marin inherited the old family house, including all the antiques that came with it. Among them, in the attic, was a tall, cracked mirror covered with a dusty black cloth. She didn't even remember it being there before. Curious, and a bit sentimental, she brought it down, cleaned it, and placed it in her room. That's when things started to unravel. The first night, she heard whispers. They weren't coming from inside the house, but from inside the mirror. Soft, hushed voices, calling her name from the glass. The second night, she noticed something far worse. Her reflection's eyes were black. Just like in the childhood drawing. She froze. Stared at it. And then, the reflection raised its hand. Maren didn't. It touched the glass, slowly, and mouthed something she couldn't hear. Terrified, she threw a blanket over it and slept in the hallway. Over the next few days, the mirror began to breathe. The surface fogged. Handprints formed. A soft, tapping sound echoed from inside the glass, like nails, begging to come through. She began researching. What she found made her blood run cold. In 1963, her grandmother's sister had vanished at the age of 10, the last place she was seen. Standing in front of a full-length mirror in the exact same house. Maren pulled down an old box from the attic. Inside was a diary. In her grandmother's handwriting. It watches. It learns. It waits for the weak one. It almost got me. It took my sister. It wants her bloodline back. That night, Maren dreamt of the mirror again, only this time, she was inside it. Screaming. Watching herself sleep on the outside. She woke up gasping, and turned to see her reflection standing by her bed. But not moving. It just stood there, watching. When she finally screamed and flipped on the light, the reflection was gone. The mirror. Still covered. But when she ripped off the cloth in a panic, she wasn't there at all. No reflection. Just an empty room. As if she had already stepped inside, and left her body behind. Skull Maren hasn't been seen since. And if you ever see your reflection move before you do, don't turn your back to the mirror. It's not you anymore. After Maren vanished, her house sat empty for weeks. No one noticed, no missing person report, no social media alerts. It was as if she'd quietly faded out of existence. The only reason anyone checked on the house at all was because of a leak in the apartment below, water dripping through the ceiling, mixed with something darker. The building manager sent in a maintenance worker named Felix, a quiet man in his 40s who didn't believe in ghosts or curses. He was just there to shut off the water and check for mold. He never expected to find the mirror. It was still in Maren's bedroom, covered with a cloth that was now damp, stained with what looked like old rust, or dried blood. He peeled it back. And there it was, the same antique mirror with its twisted brass frame. The glass was cloudy, but somehow deep, too deep. Like looking down a well with no bottom. At first, he saw nothing unusual. Just his own tired face. But as he turned to leave, he noticed something strange. In the reflection, the closet door was open. But in reality, it was shut. He looked back and forth. Open. Shut. Open. Shut. He reached for the door handle, but something behind him in the mirror moved. Fast. When he turned, the room was empty. Still, he backed away, tossing the cloth back over the mirror and reporting a busted pipe and a creepy vibe to the office. That should have been the end of it. But that night, it followed him home. He started hearing tapping on the bathroom mirror. Faint, soft, rhythmic, like someone politely asking to be let out. Then came the reflection delays. When he brushed his teeth, his reflection just stood there. Eyes locked. Expression frozen. And sometimes, smiling. One night, he recorded himself sleeping, just like Maren had. What he saw chilled him to the core. At 2:33 a.m., the hallway mirror flickered. And slowly, Maren stepped out. But not her. A version of her. Pale. hollow. Eyes black. She walked into his room, stood at the edge of his bed, and whispered in a voice not hers. "She left me behind. But I need someone new." The next day, Felix smashed every mirror in his apartment. It didn't help. His phone screen, even his shadow, began to behave like a reflection. Moving wrong. Delayed. As if it wasn't following him anymore, but watching from the other side. He tried to warn others. Posted on forums. Reached out to psychics. Desperate. Then one day, his account stopped posting. The police did a wellness check. His apartment was spotless. Empty. Except for the bathroom mirror, cracked, from the inside. And scrawled on it, written backwards with what looked like fingernails, were 5 chilling words. "She's inside. I'm not me." Skull. The mirror still exists. It's passed between owners, sold at estate auctions, left behind in rentals. And now, they say if you see someone familiar in the mirror, standing completely still, don't blink. Because if it moves before you do, you're next. This story comes from a woman named Amina, who was working as a freelance illustrator in a small apartment just outside of Seattle. She lived alone, quietly, mostly online, drawing for clients, editing photos, and occasionally selling prints. Everything was normal, until she bought a mirror. It was from a thrift store downtown, a sleek, vintage full-body mirror with a silver metal frame. It was cheap, clean, and exactly what she needed for her room. She carried it home herself, placed it against the wall across from her desk, and thought nothing of it. The first couple of days were fine. But by the end of the first week, Amina started noticing something strange. It was little things at first. When she walked by the mirror quickly, she thought she saw herself smiling, even though she wasn't. Or her arm would still be moving in the reflection for just a half second longer after she stopped. She chalked it up to stress and poor sleep. She was working late, staring at screens, and sometimes pulling all-nighters. Maybe her mind was playing tricks. But it got worse. One night while brushing her hair, she saw her reflection blink, twice, back to back. Like a glitch. She froze, then waved her hand to reassure herself. The reflection followed. Still, she couldn't shake the feeling that it looked slightly off, her eyes were too wide, her smile just a little too tight. Then, one evening, while editing a photo on her laptop, she glanced at the mirror behind her and saw something that made her blood run cold. Her reflection wasn't at her desk. It was standing behind her. She spun around, nothing. Emptiness. When she looked back, her reflection had caught up, sitting calmly at the desk like nothing had happened. She covered the mirror that night. The next morning, the cloth had fallen off. Laid neatly folded at the foot of her bed. Amina stopped sleeping. Stopped eating properly. She reached out to her best friend, told her everything. Her friend laughed it off, told her to get off Reddit and stop reading creepy stuff online. So Amina tried to record it. She set up her webcam to face the mirror while she slept. The next morning, she watched the footage. 4 hours, nothing. Then, at 2:41 a.m., the reflection stood up, even though she was still asleep in bed. It walked to the camera. Stared into the lens. And then, slowly raised a finger to its lips. Shoo. Then it walked back to the mirror and re-entered. As if nothing had happened. Amina deleted the footage. She didn't want proof anymore. She just wanted it to stop. She sold the mirror online that afternoon, to a college student in Tacoma. She thought it was over, until 2 weeks later, she got an anonymous message. "Is this you?" Attached was a blurry photo, taken from inside a mirror. Amina's room. Her desk. But no one in the photo. Just a line of text written across the glass. You can't leave once I learn your face. Skull real or not, there are countless stories just like this. People who swear they saw their reflections move. Who remember covering their mirrors, only to find them uncovered. So if yours ever smiles when you're not smiling, walk away. Don't look back. This story comes from a guy named Hassan, a 22-year-old university student living in Lahore. He shared his experience anonymously through an online horror forum, and even now, no one knows if he's telling the truth, or if he's just disappeared. It began during winter break. Most students had gone home, but Hassan stayed behind in his hostel to finish a final year thesis. He was the only one on his floor, and the silence was perfect for focusing. The room was plain: bed, desk, bathroom, and a narrow closet door with a tall rectangular mirror mounted to it. He never paid much attention to it, until the night the power went out. It was past midnight. The room went completely black except for the faint moonlight filtering through the window. Hassan grabbed his flashlight and went to check the fuse box. As he passed the mirror, he caught his reflection, but something was wrong. His reflection was smiling. He wasn't. He stopped, heart racing. Turned the flashlight on the mirror. The image was gone, now showing just his confused, wide-eyed face. He stood there for a while, convinced he had imagined it. Maybe he was overtired. Maybe it was the angle. Maybe. But the next day, things got worse. Whenever he walked past the mirror, even quickly, he'd feel a strange pull. Like something behind the glass was aware of him, watching. Waiting. Sometimes, he'd wake up in the middle of the night to a soft tap 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 coming from the closet. He moved his mattress across the room, away from it. Then came the night he saw it clearly. He was recording a short video update for his project using his laptop webcam, talking directly to the screen. When he reviewed the footage, he noticed something chilling in the background. In the mirror behind him, his reflection wasn't facing the camera. It was turned, slightly to the side, staring directly at him. Not the camera. Him. He paused the video. Rewound. Watched it again. Same thing. The reflection wasn't just off. It was independent. He covered the mirror the same night with an old sheet and taped it down, top to bottom. The next morning, the mirror was uncovered. But not by accident. The tape was peeled off neatly. The sheet folded. Placed under his bed. On the mirror, written in the dust with a finger, were two chilling words. Stay still. Hassan moved out the same day. He told his professor he was finishing his project from home and left the hostel behind. But even after he left, strange things followed. He avoided mirrors, but still, he'd catch glimpses in windows, elevator doors, car side mirrors. Always delayed. Always watching. In a Reddit post 2 weeks later, he wrote, "I don't know if it's still the mirror, or if the mirror taught something how to copy me." That was his last post. His account was deleted. His phone number stopped working. And no one, not even his friends, has heard from him since. Only one thing remains. A blurry photo someone claims was taken through a hostel mirror, showing a young man standing still, smiling eerily. And behind him? Nothing. Just a shadow that doesn't belong. Skull the scariest part. You probably passed a mirror today. Are you sure it copied you perfectly? Some say mirrors are just glass and silver, but sometimes, they remember more than we do. And sometimes, what's staring back isn't just a reflection, it's a replacement, waiting for its turn. If you enjoyed tonight's disturbing tale, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Creepy Corner Stories, where the scariest things often come from the other side. And remember, the next time you pass by a mirror, look closely. Because if your reflection ever moves before you do, run.